Welcome to ZKast, everyone. I'm Kerravala from ZK Research, and I'm here in Orlando at Extreme Connect. That's Extreme's user conference with Dan DeBacker, Chief Product Officer for Extreme. Dan, how you doing?
Good.
Yeah. Before we get going, just a little roll on what you do here.
Yeah. So I'm responsible for all of our infrastructure. So wired, wireless, SD-WAN, security, both product management and engineering.
Yeah. So I want to talk about Fabric, which is really a very unique product to Extreme, right? Everybody's got Ethernet switches. You've got this thing called a Fabric, and I know I've read some of the stuff you've written and talked about in the past, where you've argued that the best network is the one that engineers, frankly, don't have to think about.
Correct.
Right? And so just start with that basic and how a Fabric moves us away from this manually heavy, type of network to one that's really, truly intent-based.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Fabric is one of those things that, it sounds too good to be true. Seeing is believing. But Fabric built on shortest path bridging technology, very simple, topology agnostic. So I can create a Fabric, I can create any topology I need to based on my business needs. And I can adjust and change that Fabric as required, all at zero touch. So I don't have to configure anything. I plug switches in, they form the Fabric, and I'm ready to go.
Yeah, and so traditional networks, just if you're, network engineers understand this, are very, very protocol heavy, right? We've got a stack of protocols. In fact, I remember back in the day, you guys used to have a slide that showed this.
The wobbly stack.
The wobbly stack, yeah. OSPF, BGP, spanning tree, right? All these different protocols. And Extremes, there's one protocol, shortest path bridging, right? And so, that I think has been really a disruptive technology in networking for a while, and just talk about the attributes of SPB and why it is so disruptive today.
Yeah, I think it is because of eliminating all those additional protocols. So, if we're talking about a standard core ag network where I have to worry about spanning tree and blocking links and things like that, how do I configure that? How do I set that up? Or even an IP fabric, when you talk about BGP and EVPN and VXLAN, there's a lot of things you have to configure, a lot of things you have to take into consideration. So you're going to build an IP fabric, it needs to be a CLO architecture. You have a spine, a leaf, a super spine. So all very regimented, which really says that you have to fit your business around the network. With shortest path bridging, again, because we can set it up topology agnostic, whatever your business needs, whatever requirements you have, bandwidth requirements, network requirements, we adjust to that environment.
Yeah, now is it fair to say, you've had Fabric a while,
yes,
and the awareness of it still isn't as high as where I'd like it to be, but I think some people might argue that in a very traditional enterprise, Fabric might be a bit of a solution looking for a problem, but when you look at the characteristics of supporting AI on a network, where you've got agents that are ephemeral in nature, and you've got more connected endpoints, and this whole world of physical AI, edge inferencing, things like that, the problem's here today.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of the things around AI that we've all talked about is how AI can help build the network or troubleshoot the network.
Yes.
But now we need to start thinking about the users on the other end that are using AI and all the different traffic flows that are going to happen across the network. You're going to have a lot more east-west traffic. There's traffic spikes and dips and things of that nature. So it's not very deterministic whatsoever. Then you got to think about the other aspect, which is security. So one of the beauties of shortest path bridging, one of the beauties of the Extreme Fabric, is the fact that it is secure by nature.
Yeah, secure by design, right?
Absolutely,
yeah.
Absolutely. So I don't have to build in additional access control lists or policies or firewalls or things like that. All of these virtual networks are totally virtualized on the same physical infrastructure and are ships in the night, never see each other.
Yeah, now when the Fabric was first launched, it started as a data center technology.
Yes.
And then evolved to the campus,
yes,
branch, and now even over the WAN.
Yes.
And so if a customer runs with this vision of this unified Fabric, operationally, what does that mean to them?
It means that I can literally create a singular fabric across my entire enterprise, and that I now can really drop services into any place in the network. So if you're on the campus and you log in, I know that who you are, you're put into the correct network. 3 days later, you go off-site to a different location, you log in, I bring the same networks to you, to that location. The network operator doesn't have to configure those networks. They are brought to you when you log in because I know who you are. So when you attach to the Fabric, everything is brought to you.
Yeah, so the network almost becomes transparent, like in the core anyways.
Yes.
And then in this world of, again, of ephemeral agents and physical AI, that becomes its own security mechanism in a way.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Now, a lot of people argue that when it comes to securing AI or even just traditional OT devices, segmentation works, right? Now, traditional segmentation and micro-segmentation, I've heard people describe it as, they can do it at a high level, but then when you get down to micro-segmentation, it gets much more difficult.
Complicated.
Yeah, very, very complicated. And then if you live in any kind of environment that's dynamic, which let's face it, it's every environment today.
Yes.
Yeah, that becomes even more difficult, right? And so I think the stealth networking that Fabric brings actually simplifies that process where, VLANs, ACLs, all those things go away, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the beauty of it, is that, again, you can move throughout the entire network and your connectivity remains the same. And I don't have to worry about configuring the right VLAN on the right port or the right access control list and the right switch. All of that is no longer required. So now a customer, an endpoint, and it can be an endpoint. So it's not just you as a user, it could be a video surveillance camera. It could be a medical device attaching into the Fabric, automatically being put into the correct virtual network without any manual intervention.
And then one of the buzzwords in security recently, at least the last 5 years, has been zero trust.
Yes.
Right. And zero trust is funny because it's got a lot of different meanings. But I always think about it as, when you think of traditional IP networking, it works on the premise that everything can talk to everything, which is why networks work the way they do.
Yeah.
But zero trust flips that,
Yes.
and nothing's allowed to talk to anything. Now,
Right.
with the Fabric, do you still need some sort of zero trust mechanisms over top of that,
Sure.
or can it itself, the Fabric, be a zero trust enforcement?
So it's really both. I mean,
Yeah.
it really depends on the customer's requirements. So can you run zero trust on top of a Fabric? Absolutely. Do we? Yes, totally integrated. So our zero trust security runs on top of the Fabric. So you as a user log in, again, like you said, with zero trust, you're not allowed to connect to anything. So now I have to allow you to connect to certain applications. So you think about, the network infrastructure layer and that type of security, and then you take it up a layer, you go up to the application layer, and then you have application access control from zero trust. So now not only do I know who you are, I know what networks you're on, but now I can control what applications you're able to connect to.
Yeah, the theme of this connective obviously is AI networking, right? Bringing AI to the network,
Yes.
but AI operations are only as good as the data that you give it, obviously, right? And because Fabric works the way it does, do you still get the same granular telemetry out of it to be able to fuel the agentic operations?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's one of the beauties, is that, the challenge has always been, there's a tremendous amount of data sitting in the network that we were never able to effectively get out of the network. And it was very manual, it was very difficult. But now, we pull all of that into our AI core, and we know everything about the network and the users, and all of the different aspects that we're able to now bring in, ingest into the AI core, and now use AI to provide useful information that in the past was just a bunch of data that I would never sift through because it would take me forever.
Yeah, well, you're only as good as the data that you have, but if you have too much data and you can't decipher it, then
It's useless.
Then it's useless, yeah. Now, I think all of this AI stuff is leading us to the point where we have self-driving networks, fully autonomous networks.
Mm-hmm.
From your role, do you think does it manifest itself easier with a Fabric versus a traditional network architecture? I know Extreme's working on both paths, but just wanted to get your thoughts on one versus the other as far as being able to actually deliver a network that's self-healing, self-securing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it comes back down to the simplicity of the Fabric, right? We talked about that wobbly protocol stack and all those protocols that you had to worry about in the past. Now I have a network that runs on shortest path bridging. It supports unicast, it supports multicast. So that infrastructure is already in place. So, and the beauty of this is the fact that with a Fabric, it is zero touch, and there's actually very little configuration you have to do. So, getting to that autonomous is much easier because we're 80% down the path already, just inherently with the Fabric itself.
Yeah, no, I think in fact, in presentations in the past, before autonomous networking became a thing, I remember that being one of the value props where people looked at it as one that could almost run itself. And
Yes.
in fact, some of your customers I've talked to have very small IT teams for the size of environments. Dubai World Trade Center is a great example of that, right?
It's a great example where there's literally just, I think, a team of less than 4 people.
Yeah.
And they make thousands of network changes every week because it's a trade center. So there's conferences coming in every single week. So think about that in a traditional network where you have VLANs and you have to tag VLANs and you have to do all these things. If you had to tear that down and rebuild that every week, it would be impossible.
Yeah, calling the Dubai World Trade Center a trade center is like calling a high school gym a stadium, right? Like, I mean, the scale of it is so big.
It is.
Unless you see it, yeah.
Yep.
And Dan, now Extreme is relatively, you're growing, but you're a minority share vendor. So almost every environment you're in is going to have other vendors in it, right? How does a Fabric work in a multi-vendor environment?
So the beauty of it is with Fabric Attach, we can connect whether it's third-party, I'll call them third-party access points, third-party switches into the Fabric. So the Fabric is extensible beyond just Extreme switches. Now we're not necessarily going to see native Fabric running on a third-party switch, but it can connect in with Platform One, which is our platform for networking and management. We have third-party support. So not only can you attach it in, but now you can actually visualize it inside the infrastructure.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're running from time, and I do have a handful of like lightning round, quick hit questions for you. Right? Is it time to put VLANs in a museum?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No. In fact, every engineer I know struggles with VLANs.
Oh, it is. It's a bane of our existence.
Yeah. Yeah. But I guess you can't live with them. You can't live without them. I guess.
Yes.
Yeah. Is hardware-defined networking officially dead, or will we see a renaissance there?
I think that we will see a renaissance there, to be honest with you. I don't think it's going away. And we've been in this industry for a long time, and you kind of see things come back. Yeah. Right? It's like, oh, we started here, we've went all the way back, oh, we're back to where we started from.
Yeah.
I think we're going to see that.
Yeah, we can thank NVIDIA for that partially, right? Making hardware cool again.
Yes.
What's the single biggest misconception people have about Fabric?
I would think that it doesn't really work as easy as we say. Right? You can present it. We can talk about it.
Yeah.
But until
people do not believe.
Yeah, they don't believe it. And this is one of the things. So we've created these what we call business opportunity builder kits.
The Bob kit.
The Bob kit. We actually ship hardware because people don't believe it until they actually plug things in and test it themselves and unplug things and it's like, it really does work this way.
Yeah.
Right? So seeing is believing. You got to touch it.
Okay. If you could automate one task for every network admin in the world, what would that task be?
Oh, I would think just provisioning, right? Network provisioning. If we can automate that piece of it, and I don't have to worry about provisioning the network, right? Onboard that switch, plug it in, it's provisioned, I'm ready to go. That would save tremendous amounts of time.
Yeah, although it was, when I was a VAR, we made a lot of money off provisioning. So, yeah. And so last question, complete the sentence. The network of 2030 will be?
Fully autonomous.
By 2030?
Yes.
That's a big claim.
Fully autonomous.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. So thanks for your time. So wrap this up. Fabric, it does work as advertised. It is as simple as you can.
Yep.
And really, it is the right architecture for the AI era. I think when you look back historically, Dan, these different architectures that we've had, branch networking, you went from token ring to Ethernet. Every time we changed something in our compute stack, we had to evolve the network.
Right.
The whole concept that I could run an AI environment on a legacy network is counterintuitive to everything we've ever done.
Right.
So, yeah.
Absolutely.
So, all right. So any last words?
Thanks for the time. Really appreciate it. Like I said, you've hit it on the head, right? The Fabric is here. The Fabric is ready for the AI age that we are rapidly into.
Yeah. All right. So on that note, on behalf of Dan DeBacker from Extreme Networks, I'm Kerravala from ZK Research. Thanks for watching. Give us a like and also hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you next time on the next episode of ZKast.